feel like I'm meeting royalty.
There you go, mate.
Nice to meet you.
Good to meet you, Paul.
Yeah, likewise. You happy to have a sit down the table? Welcome to Tube Talk, where I'll be interviewing either virtually or in person content creators in the hope to learn more about the people that we subscribe to and we follow on YouTube. So my next guest is, fair to say, an all-round good bloke. He's been around the YouTube circles for about 10 years, give or take. He's recently relaunched a channel called Camping Gear Reviews and was previously known as Alex from Intense. Meet Alex Ganer. Alex.
Oh.
Lovely to meet you.
Good to meet you, buddy.
And thanks for taking the time on a Sunday. What day is it?
No, it's Friday, isn't it?
I don't know.
Yeah, it is Friday.
It's holidays.
Yeah.
I've got no idea.
27th of December, 2 days after Christmas.
Okay, that's a good start.
Yeah.
So, I've reached out to you, I'm going to say a month ago, initially to understand when your podcast is due out, because I listened to I've just called a new word, by the way, it's called a vlogcast. Is that, you like that?
Yeah, I do like that.
This can be a vlogcast.
Yeah.
So you were having a vlogcast with Pete
Yeah.
from Wacker, who I've met.
Yep.
Good egg. One of Perth's leading bricklayers.
Yep.
It's a true story.
Mate, that was well and truly hammered home by the end of that podcast.
Yeah. So reached out to you about that podcast on the horizon, and then one thing led to the other, and here we are to catch up on Tube Talk. So thank you. As I mentioned, this is just a little hobby of mine, but I need to ask you. So you've gave me a drop pin, and I was concentrating to get here.
Yeah.
We think we're Rolling Stone.
Yeah, I'd say it's Rolling Stone.
So Rolling Stone is near Armidale, is it how far from Armidale, are we?
Oh, 10 k's maybe. Maybe it's 5. It's not very far.
Okay, it's a long way from where I live.
Yeah, long way from you. Not far from me.
I left yesterday.
It's camped out somewhere in the road. Camped out at Cannington. Behind the shops.
Yep. Anyway, so brother, Tube Talk was all about not necessarily getting to know your YouTube channel, but more about getting to know the content creators behind the YouTube channel. So you just mentioned you live around here, you come from around here.
Yeah.
So suburb nearby called
Mount Nazura.
Have you always lived there?
Well, the first house I lived in as a kid was just around the corner from where I am now. I lived there from a baby till 5 years old, I think, and then we were out in Byford, which is another 12 k's south of Armidale. And that was the sticks back then. That was
still the
rural.
sticks.
Yeah, it's the sticks, but with this big, ugly shopping centre and stuff in the middle now. It's like you're in the middle of nowhere, but it's built up like suburbia. So it's not the place I grew up in and loved anymore.
So you are born and bred West Aussie.
Yeah, never lived anywhere else.
No intentions, or you don't want to live anywhere else?
Oh, wouldn't have minded going to Tassie sometime. Yeah.
Oh, don't take your video camera.
Go on to Tassie, but
just on this will probably happen a bit on a side note. I listened to I've stumbled across this guy called, now I'm going to get this wrong, Andrew St Pierre
White.
That's him.
Yep.
And he's quite an interesting cat.
Yep.
I've actually reached out to him to do a Tube Talk. He sort of said, talk to me next year and I'll see how big your channel is. I laughed. I said, brother, it's not like that. But anyway, but I listened to a podcast with him and Harry and some other dude are talking about how in Tasmania, like it costs you $1 million if you want to, that's an slight exaggeration. It costs you $400 or $500 for a permit.
Yeah, the filming permits and all that drama.
Yeah. So that, what's his name? Andrew St
Pierre White.
He said he's not going. Harry paid the money.
Yep.
And he went across and did an episode there.
Yep.
But this guy Andrew said, nah, he's not going.
It's a pretty nutty thing to do, introduce a fee, but I'd pay $500.
Would you?
Yeah.
That's over and above to get there.
Yeah, and that's a filming fee, right?
That's the $500 is the filming fee, but then What's it cost you to catch that ferry across?
Oh yeah, that's another thing.
That's another expensive thing.
Yeah, I think top of my head it's $400 or $500.
So just
ferry over.
Yeah.
That's probably each way. I did look into it a couple of years ago. I did the Adelaide 4-wheel drive show, took the GU Patrol over, and then so that was October, and then me and the wife were going to visit her mum who lived in Tassie.
Yeah.
And that was for Christmas, and I was like, maybe instead of flying, I take the Patrol all the way on the boat, leave it at her mum's place, fly back, and then go back for Christmas instead of hiring a car, because the car hire was crazy expensive.
Crazy, and you've got the
I
rig.
was halfway there already.
Yeah.
So it didn't end up doing it.
But it's on the things to do list.
Yeah, definitely.
All right. So we know that you live in this area. We know that you're a West Aussie through and through. So high school. Did you leave high school, then go to university? And so
I
tell
don't
me
know what to do with myself. In high school, I did year 11, 12 just because
Yeah.
I didn't know what else to do. It's, I wanted to do photography in year 10, but it was year 11. But because I hadn't done it in year 10,
Yeah.
they were like, no, you can't do photography. You don't have the prerequisites that you'd need in year 10.
Yeah.
I do wish I wasn't. I was a very quiet, pushover kid, so I just accepted, okay, can't do photography. And all that really achieved was faffing about for the next 3 or 4 years of my life.
What'd you do?
So I did year 11 and 12. I nearly failed it because I had no direction. I didn't know what I wanted to do, didn't know why I was here. Came out of there, started a mechanics apprenticeship.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Makes a bit of sense.
Yeah, I hated it. I might have stuck at it if it wasn't for Toyota, but I spoke to a few people down the track and they're like, oh yeah, Toyota's the worst place to do your apprenticeship.
Which dealership?
Melville.
Okay, yeah.
Yeah, so yeah, I did that. I thought I might go and be a sparky. Went down to Austin Ships, worked on the ships for 18 months. Then GFC happened and they laid everyone off.
Yeah.
So that was before I could get an apprenticeship. They had be a trade assistant for a year.
Yep.
And then we'll put you in an apprenticeship.
Yep.
But yeah, GFC happened and they laid us all off. And then I was like, oh, stuff it, none of this is working, I'll just go and do photography. Everyone had sort of advised against it. Oh, there's no money in that, there's no careers in it, it's just an art form, if you want real money you need to go and get a trade. And that's what I tried to do a few times, wasn't working out for me, so I jumped in and did my diploma of photo imaging.
Okay, so is that a TAFE course?
Yeah.
How long?
2 years.
Full time?
2 years full time.
Okay, so that's photography, not videography.
No, they had a small video module in it, but it was mostly photography. That's what I was into at the time.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you got addicted to photography, I'm going to say when you were about 19, 20, in there somewhere?
Yeah, it was in my high school years, really.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then it was sort of just a hobby until I went and studied it.
Oh, okay, yep.
Yeah.
And when you did your TAFE course in photography, did they teach you how to edit those photos, or was it just taking the right photos?
Well, the whole first year, there was a couple of digital modules, but it was all film. The first year of it, and then the second year we started doing digital. So they made you cut your teeth on film, black and white, in the first semester, and then they let you use a bit of colour film in the second semester, and then so that was my certificate 4. And then in diploma is when we started getting right into digital.
Okay.
And they taught us all sorts of interesting techniques, but a lot of it was photoshopping and editing and yeah.
So when did photography become a full-time job?
I went straight from there and I had a couple of gigs. I used to do wedding photography with my ex-wife. I left there, I actually worked full-time at ARB as a 4-wheel drive accessory fitter.
Okay, so photography, wedding photography, threw that in, went to work for ARB as a what fitter?
It was like wedding photography alongside accessory fitting at ARB. So my full-time gig was fitting 4-wheel drive accessories at ARB. And then the weekend thing was doing weddings with my ex-wife.
Right.
And then somewhere in there, I dropped down to a casual job and started focusing on other photography as well, writing magazine articles and doing photos. So I was sort of doing that and a casual job.
For ARB or for supplies to ARB?
No, that was completely unrelated.
So you still had ARB going on the go?
Packed it in at ARB. Again, I love mechanical stuff, but I'm not very quick at it. I'm not very good at it. So I used to get in a lot of shit for taking too long. I can do a good job. Like, I can do a good job or a fast job. You're not having both.
Yeah, you're not having both, mate.
And so it was either I'm a long time behind, but it's a good job, or I'm on time, but it's an absolutely awful job.
Right.
It's like my mind just doesn't connect with my hands to work fast enough. It's like I'm all brain, no hands, you know.
I'm going to use that all, but so my wife says, I've come up here today. My wife says you can go and catch up with Alex. I'm going to do some painting. Yeah. And I said to my wife, who I love dearly, babe, I'll give you a hand some painting. She says, you're not going anywhere near a paintbrush. You have strengths in other areas.
Yeah. And
painting ain't one of them. So stick to where your strengths are.
Yeah, good. Smart woman.
Smart woman. And ironically, I called into Bunnings to buy some more paint. And really strange question by the girl behind the counter. So I bought the can of paint. She goes, oh, you're doing a bit of painting over the break? Why would you? So I looked at her and I said, yeah, well, yes. I said, but no, not me. I said, I'm actually buying this for my wife because I'm not allowed to pick up a paintbrush.
Yeah.
And she says, do you know what? The amount of wives that say, I'm doing this because the husband is not allowed anywhere near a paintbrush is more common than not.
Interesting.
So I've actually found that, I must remind myself to share that story with my wife when I get home, because that's a fact.
Yeah, good.
Yeah. So you mentioned your ex-wife. So I've followed your channel on and off since you threw the towel in, and
yeah,
and then now you're back on again and the rest of it. And I noticed there's a young lady occasionally on your new channel. Is that Rhiannon?
Yeah, that's Rhiannon. Yeah.
So tell us. So you've now, and I also listened to this. You and Rhiannon got married up north this year.
Yeah.
Because it's still
last year.
Last year.
What are we now? 24. So 23. August 2023. We got married.
All right. So tell us a journey about you and Rhiannon. How did you meet this young lady and to where you are now?
Yeah. So anyone that's watched the channel might remember Taylor, the big bloke with the bushy beard, always wearing flannel. I met Taylor 6 months after splitting with my ex-wife, must have been, and we became pretty good mates. And about 2 years later, he moved in with a friend of mine.
Yep.
And invited some of his friends to a housewarming party, and Rhiannon was one of his friends.
Right.
So met her at a housewarming party through Taylor.
Okay. And what? The next morning, you become a full-time couple, or did you court her for a little while, or was it a journey, or?
It was.
Are you the romantic type?
It was two people dodging a relationship for 5 or 6 months. That was. Like the month before, I'd had a couple of bad dates, and I'd just gone, "That's it. I'm done with this dating thing."
Yeah.
2 years of this shit. I'd had some shockers. I got some monster dating stories. I was like, nah, that's it. I'm just going to go and work on myself.
It could be a title for another YouTube channel. Yes, keep going. Sorry, okay.
Yeah, so...
Horror date stories.
Yeah, plenty of them. And so I pack this in, not dating anymore.
Yeah.
And, met her like 3 or 4 weeks later.
Yeah.
But, I was in the, I'm not dating, I'm done.
Yeah.
But...
Get your own drink.
She was back in, she'd just moved back from Tassie where her mum lived.
Right.
So now she was sort of coming into the friend circle, and
yeah,
we used to go to the pub every Monday.
Palmy night?
She started coming along to... Yeah, it was skimpy night.
I didn't... Okay.
So we used to all go
pick
down
you for
there
that. Okay, nice.
Yeah, and she started coming along, and that was it. Just sort of got to know each other.
And the rest is history.
Yeah. She says she knew she liked me the moment when I cracked this silly joke, right? We're at the pub one night.
You do have a very dry sense of humour. Have to watch a lot of your footage to pick it up.
It was a dry joke, this one. So we're at the pub, and I'd sold this car a while back, and the guy, I can't remember why he kept messaging me, but he kept offering me to buy all this random shit, And he's like, hey, I need to pay a power bill. Do you want to buy this ex-cray fishing boat for $1,000 or something? And I'm like, no. Anyway, he really needed to pay this power bill apparently. So he's like, fine, you can have it for $300. So it's like a 14-foot crayfisher or something. It's moored out near the Raffles. And so there's sort of 8 of us down the pub. We were all pissed. It was like, wait, who wants to chip in for a boat? Let's get this party boat. It's only $400. So everyone chipped in and sent the bloke the money. Anyway, about 4 days later, he's like, hey, when are you coming to take the boat? So the dude lives in Mandurah and the boat's up at the Raffles.
Right.
And I'm like, oh, I might pick it up on the weekend when I'm at work. He says, okay, because you'll have to go up there. It needs to be pumped every two days because it leaks. And I'm like, oh, shit.
It didn't have a bilge pump?
Well, it had a bilge pump, but like nothing was connected.
Right, okay, it had a bilge pump.
Really,
no power to the bilge
no power
pump.
in there. So he's like, yeah, so every couple of days you've got to go up there and hook the bilge pump onto the battery and drain it. And this is when I'm at work and I didn't get off till 8 p.m. And so I said to my workmate, oh man, the boat we bought, we need to go and drain it. Do you want to come after work? We picked up a little inflatable boat and we paddled out at about 9 p.m. to this crayfisher.
Few beers in?
No beers. Just straight up sober men on a mission trying to.
Yeah, I've seen some of your missions.
So we clamber on board and he's like, yeah, you just got to go below deck and down next to the engine you'll find the battery, and like jump down deck and feet in the water, turn on the light. I was like, oh shit, what have we bought here? And we look forward and the engine's, you can't see the engine, it's all underwater. The whole lot's, I'm like down in this bilge water, just trying to reach for the battery and connect the bilge pump. Anyway, I threw in the $400. I said, mate, keep the boat and the $400. You got bigger problems. Fortunately, I hadn't signed any transfer papers for it.
Yeah.
Anyway, Rhiannon, it's a long story to get to this, but
it's okay.
You need the backstory.
Okay. It's called weaving. It's called weaving.
Is it?
It's good. So off on a tangent. I have never listened to Joe Rogan before, and I'm not a particular fan of Donald Trump, but I've found both of them fascinating when Joe Rogan interviewed Donald Trump. And Rogan interviewed him and went for 3 hours, 3+ hours, right? Yeah. And it was more than once, it was probably a dozen times in those 3 hours, Rogan says to him, no, Mr. Trump, we need to get back to the question, or back to the point.
Yeah.
Trump stops Rogan and says, it's called the weave. Not everyone can weave, it's called the weave, and you need to be a weaver. So you start here by the topic, and not everyone can do it.
Yeah, well, we've weaved our way here. And
you end up going all over here, and back here again. So I digress. Keep going. So you're a weaver.
Yeah. So we bought the party boat, and she tell everyone what happened. She's like, "Oh, so you're going to buy another boat?" I'm like, "I think I'm into planes now." And she's like, "That was the moment."
That made me laugh. It's funny. So we chatted when you got here, and I talked about mentorship. And I know it's got nothing to do with what we're catching up with, but I think we've got something in common. And maybe if I just show you something, and then you can see where I'm coming from. I've got 2 little clips here.
Thank you for years and years and years of mentoring me and actually teaching me how to do YouTube and teaching me how to edit and teaching me how to do an insane amount of stuff. But more than anything, I'm incredibly grateful for inviting that random dude on Instagram on a trip. Must be 7 or 8 years ago now. And giving me the confidence to try it myself. Thanks, mate. Cheers.
Are you good to go?
I'm good to go.
Now, you'll let me know if you want a beer or anything, won't you?
Oh, for sure.
All right, cool. All right, off we go. Guys, I'd like to welcome you back to another episode of Everyman Chats presented by Whacker. Now, this is a very, very, you would have seen in the title, of course, already. This is a very, very special episode with a very special guy. In the title, I'm not sure if it'll say this or not, but this is the bloke who actually inspired me to start my YouTube channel 100% and has been my biggest influence. But I'll also say you were one of the only fucking guys who ever gave me the time of day answer my messages back. I thought that was a kid dying in the background then, but they're birds. Sorry, mate. But no, you were the only guy who ever gave me the time of day back in the day. I could actually pull up the first message I ever sent to you asking about cameras and that. You always gave me the time of day, and I appreciate it. I'd like you guys to welcome Alex Ganer. Do I introduce you as Intense?
Formerly as, maybe.
Formerly known as the Artist Prince?
Yeah.
That's it. Poor bastards. How did I end up mentoring them into this?
Thanks. Look, and if we end up down my rabbit warren a little bit, I'm happy to share a bit about it, but not really. It's all about you. So, did you have a mentor? So you said to me before that your YouTube journey started about 10 years ago, give or take.
Yeah.
Hang on, but does that include your 900-day hiatus?
Yeah, that would include.
That includes that, okay. So anyway, so 10 years ago you started your YouTube journey.
Yeah.
Did you have a mentor? And do you have a mentor?
I can tell you what inspired the YouTube journey to start. It was the very moment was at a family party, and my cousin. I did a blog before I did YouTube.
Yeah.
So back when blogs were the thing, I used to write 4-wheel drive and camping stuff on this blog. And my cousin said, "Oh, it's pretty cool what you've been doing with that blog. I've got to confess, I don't read any of it. I'll happily sit down and watch a 20-minute video about something, but I'm not much of a reader."
That's the thing. So watching a video is called the butterfly effect. People don't read much anymore these days. They like to watch and or listen.
And so this was back in 2014.
You're ahead of your time.
And I thought, there's probably a lot of blokes like that, hey? So,
yeah, 100%.
I'll have a crack at making a video.
Yep.
Back in that diploma photo imaging, there was a video component, so we had learned basic things about shutter speed, how to use a video function on cameras. Can't even remember what we used to edit on, but we had to clip together a little documentary or a mockumentary. So it was a whole module in tape. So I knew kind of how to put together a video.
Yep.
But I found most of making a good video was just composition and lighting for frames anyway.
Yep.
Getting nice shots, so I could do that. So I thought I'd have a crack at putting together a YouTube video and put that up in November 2014, I think.
But that was your inspiration.
So that was the moment that I thought I'd do it. And then some inspiration was these American guys. I can't for the life of me remember what they're called now. It was Overland something or other. There wasn't much on YouTube back then. There was Ronnie. So I watched some of Ronnie's stuff and I thought, oh yeah, that's how he does it. That's pretty neat. But he didn't talk a lot and he didn't build a lot of story in his videos then.
Yeah.
So he'd do a lot of action shots of 4-wheel drives, maybe a bit of music.
Yeah.
And then I thought it would be cool to do what these Overland guys do. I'll have to pop it in a message for you so you can put a link or something. Or
okay, yeah, please. Yeah.
And they were doing more like travel documentary style. And
like Andrew St-Pierre.
Yeah, a bit like that.
Yeah.
And so I started watching what they were doing and I was taking notes like, okay, I like how if they get into a bit of conflict, they'll record it. They capture a bit of the fun team dynamic. And I thought, rather than just have cars bouncing around on the screen, let's bring in some characters and some elements and some shit, this is broken, or shit, we're lost. Let's capture how this person's feeling about it and how that person's feeling about it. And that was kind of probably my first inspiration to
okay, but brother, my question was
mentors.
Mentor. Have you had because I'm getting it somewhere. There's a weave coming.
Yeah. Okay.
There's a weave coming. Because so we just watched the clip where Harry from Fire to Fork and Fire to Talk and Harry Fisher, because he's got a couple of brands, clearly states that you mentored him. And Pete says the same thing, and I spoke to Peter about a month ago, straight after we said we'd catch up. Yeah. And that's verbatim what they say. So you've actually mentored these guys. So has anybody helped or mentored you, or are you pretty much self-taught or self-motivated?
Very much self-taught and directed, but if there's anyone, I'll come back to it because there is someone who mentors me now, but someone who got me back in those earlier days,
Yep.
it would have been Nick Underwood from Western Four-Wheel Driver magazine.
Yeah.
So he didn't. That wasn't in a video capacity. That was very much more journalism and four-wheel drive industry capacity.
Yeah.
So Nick Underwood started that magazine in 1989.
Yeah.
And he left it in about 2018 or 19.
Yep.
But yeah, he mentored me through a lot of that industry stuff. He wasn't doing video, so as far as video goes, self-directed.
Okay.
Yeah.
So let me just go back to that. We were just having a chat in the bonnet of the car and stuff, and I sort of chatted to you about mentorship, and then something that Pete said was, and I need to tell you a little bit about my journey to actually get the weave happening and get back on track.
Yeah.
So when I stumbled on content creating / a YouTube channel / this particular idea called Tube Talk, I reached out to a lot of people in my circle, and then I took it upon myself to reach out to people I didn't know.
Yep.
And it's fair to say that not a lot of people are forthcoming and giving you advice. And it might just be a stupid question like Pete's helped me out with. I mentioned I've just kicked Adobe Pro Premiere to the side because we need to watch our pennies as we semi-retire, and I've just taken on DaVinci Resolve, and Pete gave me a little bit of help.
Yeah.
I reached out to him and he gave me that. Now you've done that, right? And I'm not sort of suggesting that I'm going to pester you for help and advice and all the rest of it, but I think there's a place in this world we call content creating where people can sort of mentor and guide, maybe on a bigger scale. I don't know, but have you ever heard of a guy called Jordan Prince Wright? Okay.
No.
So let me tell you the story of how I know this guy, Jordan Prince Wright, and then I'll get to okay, so I need to go back again also, so how I started my journey. Bought my first GoPro 5 years ago because we're up North Coral Bay swimming with whale sharks.
Yeah.
Awesome. Come back, put the card in my laptop, and myself and my wife, we're blown away by what we just done that day.
Yep.
Then the next year, I bought a drone because I wanted nice shots. And that same year, I said to myself, I'm going to buy myself this M50 because someone said, oh, you need to buy yourself a mirrorless camera now because you've got a GoPro and you've got a drone.
Yep.
You need to get yourself a good camera, and not just for vlogging, because all this is just new to me, this vlogging bit. So I go into a camera shop, and this guy, I basically gave him the brief, I don't want to spend more than $1,000. I don't even know I'm going to like this. And he says to me, he goes, so what platform do you use? I said, what? And he said, what platform do you edit all your content? I said, you need to pass that by me again, brother. I've got no idea what you're talking about. He says, well, I'll give you an example. He said, well, Adobe Pro Premiere. And I said, I've got no idea what that is either. So he turned his screen around, and this is at the camera shop, and he showed me. And I went, Jesus. It was like really scary.
Scared the life. Yeah.
It looks like the cockpit of an aeroplane.
Bloody thing still scares me today.
So I'm chatting to this guy, and he sort of looks at me and goes, I'm like a deer in the headlights. I'm 56 or 55 at this stage, and I've got strengths in other areas, not painting.
Yeah.
I've got strengths in other areas. I know a little bit about commerce, but this content creating and putting things together via a platform, not for me.
Yeah.
But he convinced me that I needed to do. What are you going to do with all these beautiful photos you've taken, and these trips that you're going up north with your wife?
Yeah.
And these camping trips you started to go on with your mates. I mean, what are you going to do with all this stuff? So he convinced me to Adobe Pro Premiere is probably my best bet.
Yeah.
Didn't tell me it's $36 a month.
Yeah. It's pretty steep, isn't it?
Anyway, he then said, look, I said, well, is there someone that can actually coach me how to use? I mean, and I've got the patience of a gnat. I need someone to speak English and speak to a 55-year-old. I said, is there someone that you can put me onto locally that can actually come and teach me or mentor me or help me at least just get to first base?
Yeah.
And he said, yeah, I do. I know somebody. And he said, he actually works here. He's not working here today.
Yeah.
His name's Jordan.
Yeah.
Okay, no drama. And he gave me his phone number, and I rang this Jordan dude, and this Jordan dude said, look, I'll come around, I'll charge you $100 an hour. I think that was the number. That was back at it might have been a bit more.
Yeah.
And I said, mate, it's worth me paying somebody at least for 2 or 3 or 4 sessions just to get me not so paranoid about what I'm looking at.
Yeah.
So this guy come around, his name's Jordan Prince Wright. And we connected on social media by Facebook, as you do.
Yep.
Mate, this guy had just finished producing a film in Esperance. And if I've got this wrong, I apologise, but I will overcorrect it. I think it's called Break of Dawn or something like that. It's set in the day of the Anzacs. And they use Esperance as, somewhere they're fighting in Europe. This guy directed it.
Wow. You got taught by a legit
dude.
Yeah, a legit director of a film. I just got to check if this is a
Oh.
tick. Oh, it is a tick, you little bastard.
Oh, shit.
I hate ticks.
We're not going to edit that out.
No, you got to leave your ticks in.
Yeah. So he was amazing. He actually got me, I'm not too bad, and he gave me a little A4 bit of paper, which, your shortcut for your keys and stuff.
Yeah.
I think he gave me 3 lessons. And then we still communicate, and then I was sending him my first couple of YouTube clips, and he's like giving me commentary on stuff.
Oh, that's good.
Really cool, right? And this guy's now, his shows, like this movie's now, I think it's on Netflix now. It's actually up and about. You can watch it. Yeah. And if I've got this wrong, I will send you by SMS the link.
Yeah.
When you get to your late 50s, it's okay to forget things.
Yeah.
That's why I've got a list.
Is it okay for me to forget things now?
Of course.
Yeah.
And
I'm not that crash hot.
and I mentioned to you before that I come from a commerce background.
Yeah.
Well, our business works with what's called VAs or virtual assistants. And we've got about a dozen of them that we work with in the Philippines.
Yeah.
And I got pretty pally with one particular guy, Jay-Z, and I was telling him about my experience. So we were working together. He was doing sort of our proposals, and he was doing VA type work, which is like an offshore assistant or virtual assistant. Right? And we started talking about, he goes, well, I studied journalism, and I studied how to use Adobe Pro Premiere, and I'm going, oh wow, and he goes, mate, why don't you book some time on the weekends as a mate? I'll help you out. And now I didn't get him to do it for nothing. Like I sent him some money. He wanted to buy a new microphone. I think it was like $70 US. No, Aussie dollars. So it was about $100 US. And that was for like a month. On every Saturday afternoon, I'd go up into my little office and put the cans on, and we'd virtually meet. He'd take control of my screen. He'd go, well, this is how you do this, and this is how you do that. Very, very basic. This guy's a gun. And I'm thinking, how good is having, and he wasn't charging, Jordan charged me a lot more, right? But whereas Jay-Z might have charged me $100 for a month.
Yeah.
And that's where I was going before. I just think, is there something for, let me just circle, that's the weave. Come back to the question. It's
good weaving.
Good weaving.
Yeah.
And when I reached out to you, you said, yeah, man, no drama. I'll be glad to catch up with you, and I hope that if I do reach out to you post today, you'll pick up my call and my message and all this. And as I said to you a while ago, with Tube Talk, I've met some really, really cool people.
Yeah.
And it's not all about content creating. We've actually made friends with some of these people,
Yeah,
so
it's good, isn't it?
Oh, it's been really, really cool. So back to my list of questions.
Well, actually, no, I'm going to tell you who mentored me recently.
Recently, go.
Yep. So who mentors me now is Harry. Harry is my primary mentor.
Fair dinkum.
He helps me out a lot.
All right. Well, let's touch on Harry. Let's jump ahead of the
Throw a
question.
few other names out there. There's also Andrew, the photographer guy, Andrew Marr.
No.
Okay, you have to look him up. So Andrew, he mentored me a lot on my documentary stuff. He's a real good story guy. So
Okay, so now we've just flowing now, right?
yeah, but
now you
but
think
they
about
weren't-
it.
They weren't early on in the journey.
No,
They're like
okay.
the last year or two.
But that's okay. So for you, and the last question I've got, we'll leave. But that's really where Alex wants to take Alex's profession. That mentorship might be really beneficial for you, hey?
Yeah, that's it.
So let's just go back to Harry. So because one of my questions was, Harry's a juggernaut, right? Like his business is a juggernaut. Why is Harry as successful as he is? What is it? What's his chemistry? What's his secret sauce? Because you know him pretty well, right?
Yeah. I think there's a few layers to that. I couldn't say there are 3 elements that makes Harry successful, for sure. Okay, I think one is his business education.
He's clearly got a brain.
Yeah, he's spent a lot of time going to uni and
Yeah.
learning how to work a business.
Yeah.
He's treated it like a business from the start, and
He played the long game, right?
he's played the long game. It's been a business from the start. Little bit of luck and good timing there. There's a little bit of luck and good timing to anybody's YouTube channel, I think.
I think that's in life, mate.
Yeah, definitely.
Especially in business, yeah.
His particular niche, so it's just cooking. Okay, so like 4-wheel drive and camping niche, quite small really, but everybody likes food. Everybody eats.
I just want to lift the camera up, not hear my girth, I like my food.
Well, you know, like even if they're not into camping and 4-wheel drives and bush and everything, they might just be there for the food because they like the aesthetic and they like what he's cooking.
So you're saying he's a good businessman, he's a good cook,
Good businessman, good cook.
and he sniffed out a niche.
He's got a good niche, good timing,
Yeah.
and he sticks within that niche as well.
Yeah.
So you don't see him push away from cooking very often. And that's pretty important for a successful YouTube channel.
Yeah. Yeah, he's a okay, interesting. Yep. So we follow him, myself and my wife. My wife's a chef.
Yep.
And that's no
She'll
excuse.
be there ripping the shit out of him every time they're on. What are you doing, Harry? Don't put the sauce on like that.
Oh my goodness. You must be a fly on the wall, but it's not that bad. My wife actually adores Harry's personality too. He's very. I mean, I think somebody. I listened to some podcast recently that said you don't want to be somebody that you're not. I think what you see is what you get with. I met him at the 4-wheel drive show.
Yeah.
And he seemed, and authentic is an overused word, Alex. But I think what you see is what you get with it.
Yeah.
Even off camera.
That's definitely another element to his success. Actually, he's always been a very charismatic fella.
Oh, very charismatic. Yeah, yeah. I think my wife's got a crush on him.
Yeah.
I think I had a man crush for a while. Hey, all right. So we've just ticked off a question which was further down. So let me just go on talking about business. This is going to circle back to your business now. So I noticed, and if I've got this right, and are you an ambassador for Super Cheap, or are you just a subcontractor to Super Cheap?
Yeah, I was a subcontractor to Super Cheap.
You were?
Yeah.
Oh, not anymore.
Nope, I packed it in last month. 8 years.
Is that breaking news? Is that a scoop?
A few people know, yeah. I didn't exactly sort of throw it out there and say I've quit Super Cheap. I didn't do a big I quit video on YouTube, you know. But yeah, I packed it in last month. So I've been subcontracting to them. I'm a contractor for invoicing directly to Super Cheap for 5 or 6 years. And then subcontracting under a different video company for the past 3.
And full time?
Yeah. So I went full time in 2018. And that full time was a mix of Super Cheap and YouTube income on my old channel and a couple of other clients I had. That was in 2018. But then when my daughter came along, probably around about the same time, 2022.
Yep.
I was just full-time Super Cheap, subcontracting to them.
That's a national business, right? That's a big business.
Yeah, big business.
And so were you just doing the videography and the photographing of their products, or were you have any influence on their marketing, or?
A lot of script writing.
Which is how you actually got into Super Chip, right?
That is how I got into Super Cheap.
I did watch your stuff.
Yeah.
I listened to it, I think.
Yeah, I got into it blog posting actually, because the old Intense blog was you know, it was popular when blogs were a thing.
Yeah.
And then they were doing their own blog. You don't get anywhere by starting a blog these days, but that was my in at the time, blogging for them, then script writing. And so I used to do it all there. I'd write technical articles for their website. I'd write the scripts for the DIY videos, all the just Christmas marketing scripts, Easter marketing scripts.
For the voiceovers?
Yeah, for the voiceover guy.
Wow. Not bad for a guy that left school at 17, not really sure what he's going to do.
Yeah, that's it. Don't know how I ended up here.
So that happened a month ago. So let me just go off, hang on, before I go off another tangent, we start another weave. So you mentioned you had some other clients. So do you still have your other clients, and have they filled the void, or?
No,
and who are those clients?
No, so Ronnie Dale's filling the void now that Super Cheap left. So he
Give me the Ronnie Dale journey.
Yeah,
Did I say that right, Ronnie Dale?
Ronnie Dale.
Dale.
Yeah. So,
He's a massive man.
Yeah.
How tall is he?
He's not as big as Taylor.
Okay.
Yeah.
He looks big.
He's certainly, yeah, he's taller than me. He's taller than Harry. Harry and I are the same height.
He's clearly taller than me then. But he looks massive. It's like he looks like two axe handles across the shoulders.
Yeah, he's a pretty big bloke.
Anyway, so I digress. Okay,
Yeah,
so Ronnie's filled. So Ronnie has now filled the void that Super Cheap left.
Yeah.
And that happened a month ago.
Yeah, so I've been editing some of his videos since about August. So when he called me up and asked if I wanted to edit for him, and I said, yeah, look, I'm sick of this Super Cheap shit. I'm sick of the way my job is at the moment. It's time to finally make a leap. I think I'd been wanting to get away from it for a while. And yeah, he just caught me at the right time, and I said, yeah, cool, I'll do it. He's like, all right, I edit in Premiere. And I'm like, damn, I'm going to need a couple of months to relearn that.
What do you edit in, predominantly? Or what did you edit in?
I was Premiere until about 2021, and then I was DaVinci Resolve, and
You've just become my new best friend.
and now I'm both. I do Premiere and Resolve.
You swing both ways?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, quite happily. Mate, yeah, buddy, it's another world. Open yourself up. Try and bat for both teams.
Oh, that's funny.
Yeah, so I edit all Ronnie's stuff in Premiere and all my own in Resolve.
Okay, yeah. This resolves pretty easy. And Pete said to me, look, once you start Resolve, like, it's pretty easy.
It's not too dissimilar to
No,
Premiere.
it's got a lot of similar
the
features.
hotkeys are a bit different.
Yeah.
When I moved to Resolve, I changed the hotkeys in Resolve, so there was.
You can do that, right? Yeah, 100%.
Because my fingers are just like, I'm pretty sure my bone structure has changed. It knows the hotkeys that well. So the hotkeys are all the same.
So in addition to Ronnie, and besides your stuff, is there anybody else that you do work for?
So now it's just Ronnie and this new channel. So it's going to become a very significant source of income, this channel.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Watch this space.
Yeah, I'll give you a bit more on the Ronnie journey. So
Yeah, so keep going with Ronnie. The Ronnie story really is interesting because please don't feel bad. I hope this doesn't come across wrong, but I've only started watching this stuff. I'm not a big four-wheel driver. I've got a four-wheel drive, and I know how to put my car into four-wheel drive, and I've got max tracks and shovels and stuff like that. I've got a recovery kit, but am I keen to going into a place where I'm going to do my car harm? No.
Yeah, don't worry. I'm an old bugger too these days. So.
Thanks, mate. So keep going with the Ronnie Dale story. So I have started just watching your stuff.
Yeah. So Ronnie and I met in 2015. We're the only two in WA that were really doing it, and he picked up on my channel after I did Bustleton's secret four-wheel drive track, which just went off. Hey, it just, like, for the day it was viral, and so Ronnie saw it and said, hey, do you want to catch up and just talk YouTube shop? So did that, and then did some collaborations, and over the years I've been on a few trips with him and helped him film his trips, and then after I quit YouTube we sort of drifted apart a bit. I wanted to get away from the four-wheel drive scene and focus on myself a bit more, but yeah, sort of coming back together this year. So
the band's back.
The band's back
Just together.
Get Harry out and just do a big weekend filming camping cook-up video and be like the old days again.
Mate, so if I can just go off on a tangent. So I also have stumbled across a guy called Mr. Buckaroony.
Oh yeah, I listened to his thing on Pete's the other day.
Yeah. What a fascinating guy he is, right? and I'm pretty sure I've got this right, and I'm happy for anyone to correct me. Well, no, I haven't got a lot of people on my YouTube channel, so not many people are going to correct me, but I'm pretty sure he organises fundraising events. And I'm pretty sure he collaborates with his YouTube buddies, right? And I think he said the last number, or the last total, was north of $60,000.
That's impressive, isn't it?
Yeah, and he seems such, you know, and again, I'm going to use this word authentic again, but I've chatted to him and we're going to have a virtual catch up because he's my vintage, and talking about people embracing technology, this guy's a Nazi. Like, he's just full on. Like, he does a live streaming stuff.
Yeah,
and
he loves it, eh?
he loves it, right?
He's on it.
So you just, is there, why wouldn't you guys form like a all-stars event to I mean, you've got all this power. And you do, right? This little community has this, like, put all your subscribers, all your followers, all your Patreons together, and then make some really good use of it to maybe raise funds for whatever it could be, you know. Has that ever been talked about maybe in Western Australia, like having an all-stars event? Because, I mean, so the people that I know that you know, and I'm sure there's a million, because, you know, Matty from Western Australin Off-Road, Pete from WACA, Ronnie Downhow, Harry from Fighter 4, Cam Wild, he's got north of 150,000 subscribers now, and I'm sure there's another 20 that I wouldn't even know, but collectively I'm sure some subscribers are on the same, but hypothetically if you've got 500,000 subscribers between 20, 30, 40 all-stars, what a great event for the all-stars to collaborate on.
It's a lot of power.
A lot of power, right? And what a great opportunity for people to actually raise some money for some good, you know, like this Mr. Buckaroni does. Yeah. I'm sure that's what he does, or he's done it.
Yeah. The impression I got after listening to Pete's podcast was that he'd sort of passed the baton for now. Maybe it had got a bit much for him.
Yes.
That's definitely a thing for me at the moment, because my time is just none at the moment. I've got a 2-year-old, another one on the way.
Oh, congrats.
Oh, cheers.
Is that another breaking story?
Yeah, it is. Two in one. I quit my job. I've got a 2-year-old on the way.
Yeah.
Not a
well
2-year-old
done.
on the way. I guess it will be two.
In 2 years, in 2.5 years or whatever. Yeah, well done. Congratulations.
Yeah, so there's a lot of organising there, and I'm not against the idea. I would love to give my time away, but I just don't have anything to give.
Yeah, but it doesn't have to be you solo. I mean, like, you're talking about a collaboration of whatever these all-stars is, and then you just need to find someone to facilitate it.
Yeah.
You know?
I also, the other thing is I get, I feel a lot of pressure and anxiety doing something like that. Maybe unreasonably so, but it ranges from everything like, what if someone trips over and breaks their thumb and sues me for $1 million?
Well, you've got to have all the insurances, right?
Yeah, that's it.
I mean, that's why you need to get a professional, and don't look at me, I'm not the dude, but it would need someone that knows how to organise events.
So it's a big thing. It's like, to do it properly is, finding organising land to do it, finding someone to plan.
Well, Harry's got plenty of land.
Yeah, it's true.
Yeah, I mean, bring your own torch, chemical torch. I mean, I'm sure. And look, I know I've gone off on a wild tangent, right? So,
but yeah, it scares me. And like, proof in point is I did a Patreon meetup once. I think it was Patreon meetup, and I was just shit scared of like lawyers and injuries and all this sort of stuff. It just concerned me that much. And then when we took a bit of a cruise down the beach, we had 27 vehicles or something, pulled up behind the dunes for lunch. Now, somewhere in the back of my head there, I know you're not allowed in the dunes, the sand dunes off the back of White Hills.
Hey.
But I don't know, so much was going on in my head that day that it hadn't clicked. And so everyone's pulled up in behind the dunes and had lunch. And who should come over the hill that day?
Ranger.
The ranger. He's like,
Murphy's Law.
Why are you all behind the dunes? And sort of like, who's responsible for this big group? And so I had to put my hand up and, mate, you you can't be behind the dunes. It's $300 per vehicle. We're looking at $7,000 here. So what are we going to do? And I'm like, okay.
Morning price out. Give me a little brown paper bag.
Yeah. Oh God, I was just shitting bricks. Anyway, he said, look, here's what I'll do. I should really give everyone here a fine, or at least a warning, but if you're happy to make my job easier and just have the warning issued to you, then I'll let you all off without a fine. So I bore the warning of 27 vehicles. And so just Meetup scared the shit out of me.
All right, so, mate, last question, and thanks again for your time, and fingers crossed that all that last bit is saved to the M50, otherwise it's the 7 GoPro.
Yep.
Because there was some good stuff in that, I thought. Anyway, so I mentioned Jordan Prince Wright and how this guy is like he's made this movie, and I chatted to him about his profession as well. He didn't just come to my place and show me what to do. We sort of chatted about, you know, his plans and all the rest of it.
Yeah.
And he wants to make movies, as you do, I suppose, when you learn how to make movies, which is, I guess, a platform. Now, whether it was it Pete's interview where you mentioned?
Hang on, got another tick.
Oh,
You little. Oh no, it's just a colourful bug. No, I'm alright, mate.
okay. So do you have? So you've said that you've got aspirations to make short movies, and I've seen that one up in Seabird.
Yep.
But I think you call that more of a documentary.
Yeah, more of a documentary.
So is there any idea percolating there that you wish to share, or you'd rather keep it close to your chest, where in the year 2026 you hope to have a crack at making a proper short movie with like makeup and clothes and what do you call it, wardrobe, and a director, or you'd be the director, or
maybe when I've got more funding behind me would be nice.
you couldn't get like you couldn't go and get some seed capital?
Yeah, possibly could.
You know a few guys that got a few bucks?
It's not on my immediate radar at the moment, so I like the documentary style of things.
Yeah.
But they do take a lot of work.
Yeah.
And that's a passion project for me.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So as I mentioned to you, brother, I'm semi-retiring in 4 months to head north. So May next year, myself and my wife. Up in Carnarvon, yeah. And I've actually just put a clip on there, why Carnarvon? Yeah. Because you know what, the amount of people that say to me,
why Carnarvon?
Why Carnarvon? However, what I'd love to do is actually, now that we've met one another, stay in contact, you know, because as I said to you before, a lot of the crew that I've met via Tube Talk, you know, whether it's virtually, not everybody, and I can tell you something else for free, and that is some people that I've reached out to that I find interesting to watch on YouTube, and typically these young crews that are travelling around Australia.
Yeah.
Now they don't want to give you the time of the day because they think they're movie stars and they're rock stars, and I think I said, mate, you're creating a YouTube clip. And you know what? Everybody cries poor, and I've got no idea what sort of money you guys make. I don't. It's not my jam. I'm not interested in it. But I'm thinking these guys, you know, they might be getting a slight clip because they're driving someone's caravan.
Yeah.
They're probably making $1,000 a month or whatever. I've got no idea. But you know, I can tell you that there's probably 10 people that I've reached out to, and some people just don't even have the courtesy to respond.
Yeah.
And you did.
Yeah. I'm a big believer of giving everyone the time of day, hey. And it's something that, like, it's in my core values for heading into the next year, is to just make sure I give everyone the time of day. At the same time, without like overextending myself, giving too much of myself away. It's
a good value to have, mate.
Yeah, cheers.
I really enjoyed the last hour. Thank you so much.
Thank you, but why Carnarvon?
Why Carnarvon? Well, you have to watch